Hey everyone. Happy Wednesday, August 17th. Welcome to studentloanjustice.org. We are the oldest and largest, and in many ways, in fact, we are the only true grassroots group fighting only and absolutely for student loan justice. For the first 15 years of our existence, that meant fighting very moderately for the return of bankruptcy protection to student loans. Now, however, I am obliged to report that the federal student loan system is now in catastrophic failure. This was true before the pandemic. It's even more true today. It's time to cancel the loans. So whatever you want for your own loans, whether you want full-on cancellation, whether you want to file for bankruptcy, or maybe you want some other middling solution, whatever you want to see happen with your student loans, this is exactly, and in many ways, the only group that you need or should be in. So welcome to all the new members. If you have any questions or comments, and I can see you on Facebook or on Twitter, by all means, throw them out, and I will be very happy to respond to them in stream. So the song I just tried to play, kind of screwed up, but is about a guy named Syd Barrett, the guy who founded Pink Floyd, a rock band who hopefully most of you are aware of. Syd went crazy. I heard he took too much acid or something, but the founder of this band went crazy, and so they made this song for him, and it's about crazy people, which brings me to the topic of tonight's discussion. Is Joe Biden, or maybe I should say, are Joe Biden and the Democrats crazy? What's going on here, ladies and gentlemen? We elected Joe Biden and the Democrats on the strong pledge that they would be both returning bankruptcy protections to student loans and canceling student loans very broadly. In fact, Biden was saying things like, I will eliminate your student loan debt if you went to a public college, you earn less than $125,000 a year. He adopted, in fact, he copied and pasted Elizabeth Warren's bankruptcy agenda into his plan. And the Democratic National Committee, by the way, the DNC, they have included the return of bankruptcy protections to student loans in their party's platform for at least 4 years running now. It was in their platform 2016, in their platform 2020. I think it may have been in 2012. I don't know. We've been doing this for a long time, guys. I've forgotten more than many people will ever know about student loans. But suffice it to say, the Democrats have committed to us to doing these two things. And if you're new to the group, so you know, bankruptcy is way more important than cancellation. We're not going to see any meaningful student loan cancellation from Joe Biden unless and until we get the threat of bankruptcy return. Whether you would ever or never file for bankruptcy is not important. We've got to get the threat of bankruptcy back on our side if we're ever going to see any meaningful student loan cancellation. So my question is, are the Democrats and Biden crazy? We put them into office. We gave the Democrats control of both chambers of Congress and the presidency. That's pretty rare. That hasn't happened since Obama's first term in 2008. And here we are about to finish the first congressional session of Joe Biden's historically unique and powerful term, and they have done nothing. Oh, yeah, we're going to see stuff on the news about Joe Biden cancels this and cancels that, but it's nonsense, guys. To date, to my best estimates, the Biden administration in the first year and a half of its tenure has canceled something like $28 or so billion in student loan debt. That sounds like a lot, but guys, in a typical year, not year and a half, in a typical year, over $100 billion clicks off in interest, and that's added to our backs. It's sucked out of our pockets every year. So Joe Biden could cancel $30 billion every year and a half, and the nation's student loan debt would still grow by something like $75 or $80 billion a year at this rate. So that's nothing. But getting back to my first point, and by the way, I think I said, if you have any questions or comments, throw them out. Before I launch into that, I have a couple of announcements to make. First of all, big hats off to Lisa Ansell in Los Angeles. She scored us a very good interview with, I'm only going to say, a local news organization in Los Angeles today. And it was a very strong interview, and we're looking forward to it coming out in the immediate future. I'm not going to say anything more than that, but I will keep you all updated as that comes closer to being public. It's going to be strong. And so thank you, Lisa. I appreciate that. On that note, Lisa Ansell she is a model student loan justice warrior. I mean, you all should be, I'm just stunned and amazed at all the efforts she's been putting into this. Lisa also has started, and this is kind of a swag appeal. Lisa has also taken it upon herself to create a storefront and sell these t-shirts on our behalf. We get some portion of the percentages or something. It's a fundraiser. These t-shirts are awesome, and they are collector's items. They truly are, actually. In fact, we must sell 12 of these t-shirts. We have to have 12 orders for these t-shirts in order for them to even get made and shipped. So I'm not kidding you guys. These are very rare shirts, very collectible collector's items. Very few of them have been made to date. I don't think more than 24 maybe will ever be made. So who knows? But the point is, it's a good cause. And I appreciate Lisa for doing this. And if you believe in what we're doing and you appreciate all that we have done, all that we are right now, poised to get done, and I'll talk about that in a minute, please help out. You can see the swag, the order website right there. It's bit.ly/SLJ shirts. I believe the hats, these cool, purposely ripped and torn, distressed truckers hats, are also available. So you can go to bit.ly/SLJ hats, bit.ly/SLJ shirts. Please do this, guys. I hate fundraising. I'm no good at it. We don't need much money at all to function, survive, fight, and win this battle. We need almost nothing, certainly compared to what is spent against us, probably tens of millions of dollars a year, not to mention an army of very smart, ambitious, and very well-paid lobbyists, marketing, PR people, and other assorted swamp creatures who you may have seen on Twitter fighting against us. So despite all that, we now stand at the cusp of victory, ladies and gentlemen. We've got a great bankruptcy bill in the Senate, S-2598. Most important thing, whether you would ever or never file for bankruptcy, it is the most important thing. If we don't get this bill passed, it's very unlikely we'll see anything meaningful from Biden, from the Biden administration. We would not have that bill to fight for, but for the people on this group, and to all of you out there who've been doing the work, the daily work, which by and large comprises, at least at a minimum, comprises doing our daily actions every day for the next 6 weeks until early voting begins in October. That is what you need to be doing if you want to be helping. We need your efforts way more than any money you could ever donate. Your efforts are absolutely and totally what is important. So please do our daily actions and get a shirt and hat also, if I have to repeat. Also, guys, we would not be talking about student loan cancellation by executive order, but for the people on this group. So particularly if you're new to the group, spread the word about this group. We've got over 1 million members now. I know we don't appear to be super high tech or fancy or anything like that. And we're not, but this group is the eye of the storm. I mean, we would not be talking about student loan cancellation by executive order, but for the people of this group. So those are the two things we're fighting for: bankruptcy, student loan cancellation. The one depends on the other. The latter depends on the former. So that's why we're focusing so hard right now on S-2598. And so I'm thrilled. Thank you, Lisa, again, for helping with that. On that note, we can be doing local interviews with local news stations, local newspapers, local radio shows, etc. We can be doing that, and we should, and we want to do that, and we can do that all day long. I would love to be doing 3, 4, 5 interviews every single day with radio stations, newspapers, television stations, whatever, across the country in your area. Lisa made that thing happen with not much more than a conversation with a guy that she followed up on. She was slightly persistent, and she can tell you more about that. I'll probably interview her here this weekend or something about what it took. But I can tell you, it's not a huge lift. It takes very little energy for you to call your local whatever and say, hey, student loans are really affecting our area. And there's a group that's fighting for a very important bill right now. They're also pushing the president to cancel student loans by executive order, which the president could do without needing one dime from the Treasury, without adding one penny to the debt, by the way. You should really interview them. And also, they have people in our area who have been badly hurt by this predatory lending system, and they're willing to be interviewed. You could make that happen. Like, it does no good if I call a radio station and say, hey, you should really interview me. Like, the chances of that happening are almost slim and none. But if somebody else says, hey, you should, in kind of a referral thing, if you talk to this group, talk to this guy, this nationwide group, student loans, all the stuff I just said, it's a much better chance of that happening. And these things really, really help. You know, we are spreading the truth on this group, guys, and that is a very precious and rare commodity in the zeitgeist these days, where literally 90, if not 95% of the media that we're seeing out there is seeded by our opposition. They are telling lies. Student loan cancellation will benefit the wealthy, and student loan borrowers are a bunch of young, entitled, spoiled, liberal, elitist brats who, you know, have trust funds or whatever. There's so much chatter going against us right now. The truth, which is on our side, blows all of those myths out of the water. Most people with student loans are older, not younger. Most people with student loans, believe it or not, are either Republican or independent. The states being hurt worst by this problem are typically red states. I kid you not. And the lending system has failed. There's nothing that anybody can do or say to prevent this lending system from vanishing into a mist of illegitimacy. We're already knocking on the door. The lending system is, for all intents and purposes, finished. The pandemic was essentially the nail in the coffin. Now, this could have a bad ending, which is the bad guys in Washington, D.C. managed to somehow keep this lending beast lurching down the highway like a zombie for another few years. We don't want that, guys. It's time for these loans to be gone. We're a better country than that. And when we overwhelm all the lies and nonsense out there with nothing more than the facts, nothing more than publicly available, publicly verifiable through public data sources, facts, we will win. But it takes efforts, guys. It takes effort. It takes my effort. It takes your effort. So if you really want to impress us, get your local media to do a story on the student loan problem. You don't even have to be in it if you don't, or by all means, be in it if you want to be. It's up to you. But at least try, because nothing good happens when nobody tries. We've got a nuclear strong argument to make. We are chomping at the bit to make it. We've been sharpening this sword for several decades now. We're ready to slay this beast. All we're waiting on is you to help. So anyways, I'm looking for the comments now. Back to the point. What are the Democrats thinking? What is so sacred about this failed lending monstrosity that's hurting so many people, and very few people will ever pay again on these loans? What is so sacred about this failed lending beast that the Democrats, who have historically rare control of Congress right now, are willing to throw away everything to save this lending program? You know, any rational person in Washington, D.C. would say, you know what? It's time to take this lending system to the bath, drown it in the tub, and replace it with something better. That's how this problem gets solved. And that helps people in a very real way in their lives, helps the country, helps future students. There's no downside here. So what is so sacred about this lending program? I don't get it. If you have a clue, if you have some thoughts on that, I'm very happy to read your comments on air if I can see them. I can't always see them. So yeah, guys, and this gets down to like, I just have to start asking you, and I'm not saying Joe Biden's crazy, but is he crazy? I don't know. I'm beginning to wonder. Like, I would have expected they would have extended the repayment pause like probably a month ago if they were, had their affairs in order and were sort of on the ball back in Washington, D.C. In months and years past, when they've extended the repayment pause, they've done it a good month, if not 2 months ahead of time. Now we've got like 13 days before this sucker expires at the end of the month. And nothing but crickets from the White House. What is going on with Joe Biden? I don't get it. I don't think he's crazy. I think if anything, he's crazy like a fox. And his past baggage on this problem is very concerning. Let me just say, and I can go on about that. But what is going on with the Democrats? It makes no sense to me. And by the way, so and I hope this makes you feel better, we are the largest untethered voting bloc in U.S. history, by the way. We put Biden and the Democrats in office in 2020 in critical states like Georgia, like Michigan, many other states. We were absolutely by far and away the margin. There are something like 42 million distressed student loan borrowers in the country. So there's like 55 million student loan borrowers in total. 85% of those people were distressed. They were losing sleep over their loans even before the pandemic. So we're talking about a huge number of people for whom student loans is a top 3, if not top 1 issue, strongly influences how they vote. The Democrats said nice things in 2020. Now it would appear up to this point, they have betrayed us. And there are a lot of pissed off people who voted Democrats in 2020. And we are being very loud these days about it. Just look at the internet. Hey, we've got a ton of comments here, guys. I'm sorry for lagging on y'all. I'm going to get to them right now. 2020. And Terry Dodds with us tonight. Hey, Terry. Loud these days about it. Just look at the. Be quiet. Terry Dodds with us tonight. Michael Cheney's with us. Michael is a trucker, by the way. A trucker. Yes. People who work with their hands, carpenters, electricians, truck drivers, welders, they have student loans. Like people who go to trade schools are as screwed as everyone with student loans. So Hey, Christina Winton's with us. Vanjie is Unruh with us. Hey, Lisa. So I hope your ears were burning. We were talking about you. Leslie Fishman says good evening. Christina Winton says only 100% cancellation will work to stop the games they are playing. You're right, Christina. This lending system needs to be taken to the bath and drowned in the tub. Now, we are a fiercely nonpartisan group, by the way. Whatever your political stripes, you're very welcome in this group. And I guarantee you, we will say very hard things about whatever party you happen to be inclined towards. So just know that. We kind of hate both parties. Both parties, we hate them in different ways. Both parties suck. They have shoved our noses in SHIT, pardon my spelled out French, for years and decades in the partisan cracks. We have been walking in the wilderness between the two parties. On one hand, we have the Democrats, kind of the good cop. On the other hand, we have the Republicans, kind of the bad cop. But between the two of them, we get screwed every time. And so too does it look like it is shaping up to be that right now. Now, guys, I'm hopeful. Don't get me wrong. I have to believe that some rationality still exists in Washington, D.C. You can't just blow off 42 million people who are stressing out over a blatant injustice that is easily provable, has been proved. It's almost common knowledge now that student loans are unconstitutional and vicious, and something's very deeply wrong with them. And certainly everybody on Capitol Hill knows, people in Washington, D.C., they know what I know. They've seen the numbers that I've seen. And amongst themselves, they are saying the exact same things that I am saying. So it's just a matter of them being honest about things. And I don't think that's too much to ask. At the end of the day, the truth always wins. Don't forget that. And at this point, I may not have said this 2-3 years ago, but at this point, the only thing that makes sense is to cancel all of the loans. Will 15% of the borrowers sort of get one over on us and get something for free? Yeah, arguably, it's probably less than that. I think maybe 10% of the borrowers were and are able to repay their loans. But for the other 85% who are never going to be able to pay their loans, come on, guys. This lending system is toast. It's finished. At what point is there no baby left to save? At what point is there so much bathwater, it's time to roll the dice? We reached that point during the pandemic, I would say. It's time to cancel all the loans, call it stimulus if you want, point to the PPP program or any of the other trillion-dollar giveaways that this government has done, the Treasury Department, the government, the Federal Reserve, et cetera, and quantitative easing to the banks, to rich people, to pissing away $7+ trillion in the desert. Point to any of those things if you want, but the loans are done. The loans will not be paid. The loans will be canceled. Make no mistake about that. That is a fact. Whether 100% of the loans are canceled or not, well, that remains on to be seen. How hard we on this group fight will probably tell that tale. I kid you not. You guys have no idea how important this group is. And I'm not bragging. I'm just telling it like it is. We would not have this bankruptcy bill to fight for, but for this group. We would not be talking about student loan cancellation by executive order, but for the efforts of the people on this group. We are the pioneers, guys. But at this point, it's far better to simply call this one done and replace this failed lending system with something that works. But for the terrible egos, the terrible politics, the greedy people who have concocted this loan scam against us and perpetuated it far further down this road than they ever dreamed, by the way. They've had their golden parachutes packed for years now. They are laughing their asses off all the way to the bank at how much further they've been able to push this lending scam than they ever thought. But for those bad people, this lending system would have been canceled and replaced years ago. If you care, my humble opinion, the president should immediately suspend the lending program. In other words, no new loans going forward. That's it. Done. For maybe a year, put the colleges on direct funding, probably reduced funding, in my humble opinion, and use that time to recreate a higher education funding model that actually works. That's, at this point, this is the end game. This is the only thing that makes any sense. Vanji Enru, I was trying to figure out your song. Major Tom? No. It's that Pink Floyd song. I don't even know the name of the song. Shine On You Crazy Diamond, maybe. I don't think that's the name of the song, but that is the song. Gordon, Wayne Watts. Any news on S2598? At this point, Gordon, we're waiting to see what Biden is going to do or what Biden is not going to do between now and September 1st. The bill is still alive and kicking and ready to roll and in prime tip-top shape, ready to go. So we'll see what Biden does. We'll go from there. We are still pushing the bill every single day. Don't get me wrong. Now is when the sausage is being made. If you ever wanted to help solve this problem, which is your problem, right now is probably the most prime time, certainly in the history of our organization. But this may be, in fact, the most important time of all time, including after September 1st. I don't know. This is where the sausage gets made, guys. We're in the August recess right now. The senators are kicking back. They're reflecting on things. A third of them are wondering, what they need to do to win this next election coming up. People like Marco Rubio, people like Chuck Grassley in Iowa, people like Ron Johnson in Wisconsin, and so forth. This is prime time to be fighting this battle. Your financial livelihood hangs in the balance. And anyways, do our daily actions. If you do nothing else, will you at least do our daily actions? And will you at least get a local news organization, a newspaper, radio, television station to do a story on the student loan problem right now? I mean, do you not want to win this battle? I think you do. I would beg if I thought it would make a difference. Vanjie says the entire reason they play with F dash less than all is because we have no uniform laws of bankruptcy. Right. Founding fathers called for uniform bankruptcy laws ahead of the power to declare war and raise an army. This has been taken away uniquely from student loans, guys. If you're new to the group, you have no idea how badly we've been scammed, how badly, how blatantly, and how unconstitutionally we've been scammed. We do not have to put up with this shit, ladies and gentlemen. The founding fathers are on our side. Frankly, I think the founders are looking down. They're shaking their head. They're saying, why? How did our people get so weak? Like, why are those people paying anything into this unconstitutional loan scam? They should do like what we did in Boston. They should take the tea. They should throw it in the harbor. You know, I would think the analogy for us is they should burn their student loan papers, throw the ashes in Boston Harbor or down the garbage disposal or whatever. The founders are on our side, guys, and they're wondering why we've gotten so weak. I think we owe it to the founders. We owe it to ourselves. We owe it to tens or hundreds of millions of people who are going to follow in our footsteps. And we owe it to everyone who has any kind of a loan everywhere to fight this battle. Because, guys, this is the camel's nose under the tent. If they can do to other loans what they did to student loans, they will. If they can take bankruptcy away from medical debt, they will do that. They can take bankruptcy away from credit cards. They will do that. And if they can do it to student loans, they can do it to any and all loans. Make no mistake. And they want to. Our opposition would love to conquer and enslave the nation in debt. Those are John Adams' words, not mine. Speaking of the founders. So Gordon just underscores what I said earlier. $28 billion canceled is nothing. It's nothing. It's ridiculous. Hey, Michael Cheney says, my hat is on its way. That's fantastic. Get a hat, guys. Get a hat. They're pretty spendy, I admit, but they're certainly worth it. They're for a very good cause. Please, guys, help us. We won't be alive to function and even like pay our light bill and stuff if we can't raise a very small amount of money every month, like a couple $1,000 just to keep our lights on, guys. And if you've been with our group for any length of time, you know how freaking hard it is to even raise that much. So truly, guys, please help out. Get a shirt, get a hat. Let me bring that up one more time. But thanks for the plug there, Michael. Appreciate it. Nope. Let me show you that one. Vanjie says, I'm a little wondering if those unilaterally pulled from default will be penalized with the second default if they can't pay. Very interesting question, Vanjie. I wish we had more time. I have to wrap it up pretty shortly. One of the trial balloons being floated out there, guys, is, hey, we're going to have all these 25% of all borrowers are in default. We're going to take all those borrowers and take them out of default. And guys, that is horrible. That's a trick. That is a swamp trick. Shame on Elizabeth Warren for touting it as anything but a trick. You know, you take somebody's loans that have been defaulted for decades or something, and they're trying to get on with their lives, and they've got these loans that finally fell off their credit report. And I know there are many of you out there. Turning these loans back on, even taking them out of default, it's going to reawaken the loan. They're probably going to start reporting to your credit agencies again. So, that house you finally were able to buy, now you have a debt to income ratio that's ridiculous. Can't buy the house now. All kinds of terrible things will happen. And the most pernicious thing is that most of those people will wind up defaulting on their loans again. So if you defaulted on a $30,000 loan and it became a $100,000 albatross, and then they take those loans out of default and then they default again, well, all of it, and with all the penalties and fees and all the nonsense that they tack onto these defaulted loans, that $100,000 is all of a sudden $200,000. And oh, by the way, if they can con you into rehabilitating that second time defaulted loan, they're going to make a massive 16% commission off your ass. So you're going to, if you're stupid enough or unwilling or unwise enough or naive enough or just not knowledgeable enough so that you get suckered into rehabilitating that second time defaulted loan, all of a sudden you're going to sign for a $250,000 loan, which started as $20,000, let's say, or $30,000, whatever. You're going to sign for a $250,000 loan, and the people that convince you to do this, whether it's Navient or AidVantage or any of the disgusting, swampy servicer or collection companies out there, they're going to walk away with 16% commission off of your ass. That's free money in a check given to them by the federal government. So for a $250,000 rehabilitated loan, that's like 32 plus 8. That's a $40,000 paycheck in the pockets of these swamp creature snakes who want nothing more than to profit from your misery. This is disgusting. Taking people's loans out of default, I'm sorry, it's a trick. It's like taking dirty laundry and putting it in the dryer and putting it on high. Like, that's kind of what that is. It's disgusting. Guys, this all comes down to bankruptcy. If you forget everything that I heard tonight, we've got to have the threat of bankruptcy back on our side to avoid being completely fucked, pardon my French, by this vicious, heinous, ugly, evil, nationally threatening, and now catastrophically failed, but still dangerous lending beast. It all comes down to bankruptcy, guys. If you forget everything I said tonight, remember, S2598 is a must-pass bill. Your student loans hang in the balance of whether this bill passes or not. So I strongly suggest, if you care at all about your future, your financial livelihood, you get off your ass. And to those of you who have been doing the work, I salute you. Everybody I see, Gordon, Vanjie, Michael, everyone, you've been doing the work. I love you guys, and you know what I'm talking about. I salute you. To everybody else, you've got to get off your ass, and you've got to help us right now. And if you have no intentions of doing that, well, then just get the fuck off of our group right now, because we don't want you around. To everybody who has been helping, I salute you. And I think you'll agree with me. It feels very good to fight this fight. We're fighting the good fight. I sleep like a baby at night. It's cathartic. We win every argument that we engage in, everywhere, all the time. We can't lose, but we've got to show up and get on the dance floor, get on the battlefield. So, hey, Terry Dodd says, we want to slay this beast, but both sides continue to feed it and want it to keep living. I don't. Terry, I couldn't have said it any better. In my humble but very strong opinion, nobody should ever feed another dollar into this beast. This is a beast that should not be fed. It should be taken to the bath and drowned in the tub or starved out of existence. In my opinion, if you ever pay another dollar on your federal student loans, not only is that pretty unwise because the lending system is just a national joke at this point, and very few people will ever pay again. My best guess is that if they ever turn this lending program back on, fewer than 20%, probably closer to 15% of the people will actually resume paying. So it's not only unwise, it's unpatriotic. It does you no good. It does the country no good to feed this beast. Don't do it. My humble opinion. You can make your own decision. That's my opinion. Okay, guys, you know what? I'm going to have to blow through the remaining comments. I'm sorry. I've gone way too long tonight, but I hope you're inspired by whatever I said tonight. I hope you'll tell your friends, your family, everyone you know with student loans about this group, about our bill S2598, about our daily actions, about our petition, and tell them this is ground zero for getting this problem solved. The other groups out there, I'm sorry, but they're basically fake. They're basically full of shit. They'll call for loan cancellation all day long, but that's never going to happen. Nothing but a turd pellet, $10,000 nonsense, fake, means tested will ultimately come to mean almost nothing for almost everybody and absolutely nothing for most. That's the most we can expect. And that's just bullshit. We've got to get the threat of bankruptcy back if we're going to see meaningful loan cancellation. So tell everybody you know about this group. Get ready to fight. It's good to fight. We need you. Look to people like Martha. Martha is confined to a wheelchair. She can't talk. She can't even eat without a feeding tube. She can't walk, but she's been fighting this battle with us every single day. And Martha, we love you. We salute you. And if Martha can do it, I think you can do it. So we'll see what the next 2 weeks bring, ladies and gentlemen, but we cannot sit back and wait and watch and worry and read swamp garbage like Forbes magazine. That's not going to get anything done. What gets stuff done is, at a minimum, you doing our daily actions, you getting your local newspaper, radio station, or news organization otherwise to do a story on this problem, and whatever else you can think of. You're smart. You've been to college. We have PhDs. We have people from Harvard, Yale, Princeton, every top tier university you can mention. We have extremely talented people on this group. And there is no good reason that I should have to beg anyone on this group to be doing what we need to be done to get this problem solved now. I want these loans gone. And I hope you agree. And I'm sorry to be so heavy tonight, but in truth, I've never been more optimistic than I am here tonight. We've never been in a better position in our 17-year history. I am looking very much forward to getting this problem finally solved. Hopefully by October 1st, guys. That's what I'm shooting for. And you should be too. So, all right, I will be back on Friday. Ed will be with you tomorrow. Get a shirt, get a hat. And maybe the last thing I'll say is, if you can donate, that would be very, very helpful. Like anything at this time would be super helpful. All right, guys. I hope to have some great news for you in the coming weeks, certainly by week's end. So let's roll. We got this. Take heart. Good luck. God bless. And Godspeed, everybody. See you on Friday.